Thought that I was playing in the past, now I'm super fast, real raw, relevant. I'm also known as super bad, with a super attitude. If you don't like it, you can book a pass and be the first in line to kiss my. Wait a minute, what I mean is I'm a lion, not a sheep. I don't need a weakling around to try to follow me. I'm destined to be better, get it bigger every day. I don't got the patience to sit around try to play. Focus like an animal, king of the.
My friends, welcome to the Revolution Podcast. I am Sean Whalen, and I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. I've got something that I wanted to share with you today. I've got a conversation that happened in the gym this morning. I'm going to make this one really quick today. I'm going to start doing some of these shorter, quicker, fire podcasts. We need to come up with a cool name. If you have a cool name of what I should call these, like guys have like Thursday Thunder and Friday Fire, and I don't know, Saturday does nothing really rhymes with Saturday, does it? Or Sunday Fun Day, but that doesn't sound very cool. If you guys have some cool names, let me know. But I'm going to start doing some more of these short ones just because I got a lot on my mind. There's a lot of cool shit happening, and I love interviewing people. I love sitting down, having conversations with badass people, but I also love just being able to spit some fire and share some takeaways and some experiences that I'm having with you guys here. And that being said, I also wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say thank you to all of you that support the podcast, all of you that listen to the podcast, that share the podcast. This is a really interesting experience that we're dealing with technology and being able to share messages and share things with the world in a virtual format. So for me to have a couple minutes of your time and for you to spend a couple minutes of your time with me listening is humbling. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. I have made it my intention to go all in. And what I mean by that is sharing what it is that I've learned, sharing what it is that I know. I since a little kid have heard the same thing that you guys have heard, leave it all on the field, put it all out there. And that's something that I firmly believe in, is I want to know that at the end of every single day, I put all the chips in the middle of the table and I put it all out there. So this is one of the formats and one of the ways that I do it is this podcast. So again, thank you very much for listening. This morning, I was approached by a lady at the gym, and I think she's the sister of one of my buddies who's there. And she came up and she said, I got your book and I read your book. And then I went on to Instagram and I saw you on Instagram, and she said, oh my goodness, your children are adorable. I said, well, thank you very much. We proceeded to have a conversation about kids. We proceeded to have a conversation about success, about life, about the balance of home and work. And this was a really fascinating conversation for me with this stranger and this lady, and very, very sweet, very nice. But she shared a couple of things that I thought were really interesting, and then I shared with her something that has been on my mind that I shared on another podcast not too long ago, which has been resonating with me very deeply. First of all, she talked about how it looks like I have a lot of fun with my kids, and I do. I mean, I have a lot of fun with my kids. I enjoy being with my children. I see so many parents and so many people that are like, oh, God, the kid's crying, this and that. Look, my kids piss me off. Don't get me wrong. My kids are they're little shitheads. They're little hellions. They're little troublemakers. They're very much like me. But at the same time, I realize that I have a brief moment with them here in this existence. And that's something that is very dear to me, is the time that I have with them. I spent a lot of years, grinding and hustling and grinding and hustling and working 20-hour days to do my deal and whatever, to be able to retire when I'm young and all of this same shit that we've heard 1,000 times. But, she said that, and it made me feel good, because obviously through the images, through the stories, through the things that I share on social media, people get that and they see that, and they see that I'm having a fun time with my kids, and I am. And that's something that I really enjoy, and why I continue to live my life openly is because, I don't know who's watching. I don't know who's listening. I don't know who will be motivated to go do something based off of a post. I share what I share because I want people to see that this is real me. Like, this is real Sean Whalen. This is my life. This is who I am. And a lot of you listening to this only share, the highlights, or you share the good parts, or you share the days that you're crushing the deals or making the money or whatever. And you don't share the dark shit. You don't share the shitty days. You don't share the days that you want to burn everything to the ground, and you don't share the lessons that you learn from that. And I feel like that's something that's missing in our society and in our culture, in our motivational world. is the real shit. Because I can tell you right now, as the Almighty is my witness, I have a lot of bad days, man. I don't have an on day every day. I can tell you that there are days where I have all the tools. I know how to meditate. I know how to go do this. I know how to go do that. And there are days that I just shut the whole fucking thing down. I just shut it all down. I will literally leave the office. I will leave whatever I'm doing. I will go to the movies. I will put my phone on airplane mode and I'll watch a movie. I'll go down into the theater room in my basement and literally turn on a movie and sleep for 3, 4, 5 hours. I get it. I get that it's not all sunshine and roses and it's not all beautiful, but one of the things that I, as a father, really am intent on doing is spending not only as much time with my kids as possible, being as real and fucking truthful and honest, not only with what I share with the world about my kids, but what I share with my kids. And that's something that I feel for those of you who are parents, mothers, fathers listening to this, it's crucial, man. Like, we're not going to get these moments back. We're not going to get this time back. We won't get this back, period. Plain and simple, done and done. There is no makeup. Like, we think that in 10 years from now when we're retired and then we can, like, have more time to spend with our kids, the reality is they're already done playing t-ball. They're already done playing Little League football. You've already missed all those fucking games. And so now all you're going to be doing is talking about, well, if I'd have been at your game, little Johnny, or if I'd have gone to your game, little Sally, then, I would have known what you're talking about, but I didn't, but here we are now. And you've kind of lost that ability. You've lost that connection to these kids. That's a scary thing, man. That's a scary thing to me. As we continue to have this conversation, I shared with her something that has been very, very, very eye-opening to me. And it's this, like, we live in a culture. We have a lot of people. We have a lot of social media influencers that are out there, following. I love Gary. Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a great man. He has led a revolution of putting stuff online and content. There's really nobody in the game that's putting out more content than Gary V. And he, from Wine Library TV to the early days, the early adoption of YouTube. But I can tell you that there's kind of an angle of what it is that he's sharing that I don't agree with, and that I think is leading a lot of people astray. And it's the conversation of the 24/7, 365 grind, the 24/7, 365 hustle. And there's a lot of young people. There's a lot of people, listening to this that feel like if they don't work 27 hours in a day, they're going to fucking fail. There aren't 27 fucking hours in a day, man. Like, that idea of grind and hustle is what led me to a midlife crisis. It's what led me to a meltdown. I did that. I was working 20 hours a day. I was 25 years old, rocking Rolexes. I had 4 cars. I had 3 vacation homes. I had all of the shit that you were supposed to have based off of being successful. I was grinding and I was hustling. I had 171 employees. I had a 13,000 square foot office. I traveled all over the world, literally first class all day, all the time. And ultimately, that's what led me to, like, burning the whole fucking thing to the ground. That's what led me to, like, really having questioning my life. Like, is this what it's all for? Is this what it is? And what I've learned over the last couple of years as I've studied people, as I've studied successful people, like, I consider myself a smart man, okay? Now, if you consider yourself a smart individual, hear me when I say this. If there's a 12-chapter book that this mogul from our forefathers, our ancestors, if you will, the Stephen Coveys of the world, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, all of these people that have come before us, the moguls and the icons, almost every single one of them in their book says the same thing. Almost every single one of them says the same thing. In closing, they all say, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have spent more time with my kids and my family. If I could go back and do it all over again, I might have gone a little bit slower. I would have watched a few more sunsets. I would have smelled a few more roses, if you will. Now here, again, I consider myself a smart guy. Here we are, you and I, entrepreneurs running, hustling, grinding, building, companies, business, success, money, cash, the whole thing. And yet we're studying the words of these icons, and almost all of them say the same thing, which is, if I could do it all over again, like, if you're fucking smart, if you consider yourself a smart motherfucker, and you're reading these books and you only pay attention to the first, 10 chapters or 11 chapters out of this 12-chapter book, and in the last chapter, it's like the parting wisdom. The last words that this fucking guy is going to tell you, and he's like, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would spend more time with my family. And you're like, fuck all that shit. I'm going to go make the billions and the trillions. Those are literally the golden words. That's the golden advice. That's the last breath. That's like somebody on their deathbed saying to you, I'm going to give you my final piece of advice, my final nugget. If you think you're fucking smart and you're not paying attention to those last chapters, if you think you're fucking smart and you're not paying attention to the words that these icons have written, that they have shared with us through these hollowed books, and they're telling us at the end of these books, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would do it differently. And that differently would be spending more time with my family, slowing down a little bit more. If you're not paying attention to that shit, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. You're not smart. You're not a badass. You're not an icon. You're not a mogul. You're not a baller. You're not a guru. You're fucking dumb. Because at some point in time, your ticket and my ticket's going to be punched. Are you going to be on your deathbed writing the same book going, shit, man, I hustled, I grind, I hustled, I grind. I bought Gary's shoes. I did the shit. I'm not knocking Gary's shoes. They're great. Gary, props to you for the shoes. But let's be really serious for a second, bro. Like, I don't see you talking about enjoying time with the fucking family, enjoying time, creating the balance. Because the hustle and the grind and the insanity is what's driving most people to fucking sedate themselves with drugs, with alcohol, with whatever other substance or whatever other reality they want to put themselves into, because that shit doesn't last forever. That shit does not last forever. And I can tell you, more than not lasting forever, the biggest regret that you'll have is reading the words of these moguls and these icons and these people that we quote unquote look up to and we idolize and we heed. And we listened to everything they said except for the most important shit that they said, which is the reason that they said at the very end of the book. And what they say at the very end of the book is, if I could go back and do it all over again, if I could do it all over again, if I had another crack at this bitch, if I could fucking go back and start over, I would spend more time with my family. I would be more present with them. I would date my kids more. I would take my young daughters out. I would play more football in the yard with my kids. I could tell you that there's nothing scarier to me than laying on my deathbed knowing that God put ideas in my brain and passion in my soul and I fucking squandered it. There's nothing that scares me more than knowing that I'm a smart motherfucker and I'm reading these books and I'm paying attention to all the grind and the hustle and the grind and the hustle and the grind and the hustle. But the parting words, the very last words of these icons, I completely ignore. And I say, well, that's for somebody else. Or once I retire in 20 years, then I'll fucking do it. Or when I'm balling and I hit this financial status, then I'll actually pay attention to my kids. Then I'll actually go to a game. Because I can tell you, you might not fucking get there. And I can tell you that you will have no fucking single greater regret than laying on your deathbed knowing that you had an opportunity. You claim to be a smart motherfucker. You posted it all over social media, all over Instagram, all over freaking Snapchat, all over Facebook, how fucking balling and smart you were. But yet you paid attention the least to the most important words that these people have fucking shared with us. So my friends, put down your pipe and smoke it. Like, really put down your pipe and smoke it. I'm not telling you to stop. I'm not telling you that you can't fucking ball. I'm not telling you can't buy freaking jewelry and you can't buy watches and you can't buy Ferraris and Lambos and vacation homes. What I am saying is that if you think you're fucking smart, if you consider yourself a smart motherfucker, listen to all the words. And you better damn well be creating that time, that quality fucking time with your family, because you will not have another shot to do it. You can always buy a new car. You can always buy a new Rollie. You can always put a new Panerai on your wrist or buy another fucking vacation home. But you will never get another youth freaking softball game or baseball game or hockey game or soccer game or t-ball game or whatever the fuck it is that your kids do. You will never get that shit back.
People, it's time to move out. Move out. My people, it's time to move out. Show 'em what we do now. They say that work seems so hard to follow. I am not a role model, only a teacher. Teach 'em when the school's out. Preacher man preaching to each his own. Mano, we mano, fly away.